Any question before we start? So the first exam would be after the break. So we don't have exam, our first exam for next week. All right, let's continue on chapter 4. Today I'm gonna finish chapter 4, and next week we are gonna work on chapter 5. So we talked about arithmetic gradients. If you are given with a salary package, which is starting with $8 per year. So at the end of the year, suppose you get $8, and your salary package is supposed to increase by a constant amount of G over the next 5 years. So the amount that it's going to increase, it's going to be a constant amount. And how can we find the future value or present value of this? We just break this to two cash flow diagrams. One with constant amount or uniform series of the payments. And second one was whatever left for each year. G so it's a uniform series because we have constant amount of the payment, and we call this arithmetic gradient. The cash flow diagram, which is starting at year 2, and it's increasing at this amount. So we call this gradient. To find the future value, we know how to find the future value of the uniform series of the payment. For this, we derive the equation. I didn't prove the equation. You can look at chapter 4. It's not difficult. So we got this equation. For given G, you can find the future value for this part by using this equation. And exponentially, we can represent this factor by this P over G at the interest rate of I for n periods of time. For a given G, find the P value at the interest rate of I over the n periods. And this is going to be if you want to find A when you are given with this one. So what would be the equivalent value of this cash flow diagram as a uniform series of the payment? Now, today we are going to talk about the last type of payment, which is geometric gradient. So in arithmetic, the amount of the payment is increasing at constant amount. As you see, it's starting at year 2, it's increasing at the constant amount. In geometric gradients, it's going to increase at constant rate. So if the first year salary is for maintenance cost, it's a payment, so it's a receipt of the money. Suppose you get the salary package which is starting at $1 for the first year, and for the future years it's supposed to increase at the rate of 5%. So your next payment or your next year's salary is gonna be A1 plus A1 times 5%. We call this 5% with lower G constant growing rate. It can be positive or negative. So it can be increasing or it can be decreasing over the time. So 1 plus A1, 1 plus G for the second year. For the third year, it's gonna increase another G%, 1 plus G power 2. And if it continues for n years, the last payment is going to be A1, 1 plus G power n minus 1. We call this geometric gradient. It's a constant rate increasing. It's a constant amount. So this is the difference between. In geometric, we call this cash flow diagram as a geometric gradient. It's starting at first year. It's increasing at the constant amount of G. But in arithmetic, it's starting at the second year, not first year. It's starting at the first year and it's increasing at this amount. So these are some points about these two. So we would like to find future value of these payments or present value or some other, for example, uniform sales payments of that. So as I said, it can be decreasing. So this G can be negative value. So suppose you start from A value. Second year, it's gonna be A times 1 minus G. It's decreasing at the G%, at the rate of G. Third year is gonna be A times 1 minus G power 2. So G can be positive or negative, depending on growing. So if I want to find the present value of this, I can prove that we can use this equation. You can find the proof on chapter 4, but we don't do this in the class. If I want to know what would be the present value of this, what I need to do is multiplying this A or A1 by this factor. 1 minus 1 plus G n 1 plus I power negative n divided by I minus G. As you see, we have 2%. G is the growth rate, at which rate is going to increase, and I is the time value of the money, or interest rate that you are going to use on your calculation. So for I, if I is not equal to J, because if they are the same, here you will get 0, it's going to be infinite, and here also you will get 0, so 0 over 0. For any case in which I is not equal to J, we can use this equation. If I equals to J, gonna be this, n times A1, 1 plus I. If these two rates are equal to each other accident. And we call this P over A for a given A, for a given A, for this one. Find G, find P if it's growing, if this A is growing at the G rate at the interest rate of I over the n periods of time. This is how you can read the, this mathematical expression. So to find P for a given A, which is growing at the rate of G, at the interest rate of I over the n periods of time. What else? Any question on this? I'm going to work on some example, but before we go through examples. So let me look at Appendix C, just one page. If you look at Appendix C, you can see some columns for the single payments, you can columns for uniform series of the payment, and you can column for arithmetic gradient. But there is no column for geometric gradient. Why don't we have any column for geometric gradient? Exactly, because this is depending on I as well as G. So you can have infinite combination between I and G. If I is 0.5%, G is 1%, or we are going to have different combination. So for that reason, we don't have any table on the back of the book. So you are supposed to use only the equation to find. So let's work on some examples. So if interest rate is 8% and maintenance cost, we are going to find the maintenance cost, present value of the maintenance cost for the first 5 years. And we know that the first year has the maintenance cost of $100. It's a cost, so the arrow is going down. And next year is going to increase at the rate of 10%. So next year is going to be 110. Third year is going to be 100 times 1 plus 0.1 power 2, 4, and 5. 5 is going to be 100 times 1 plus 0.1 power 4. So we would like to find the interest, the present worth of this maintenance cost over the next 5 years. Since it's increasing, I just added 0.1. If it was decreasing, we can subtract 1 minus 0.1. It's not gonna change the equation. Now we are gonna use this one. P equals to 100 multiplied by I is 8%, G is 10%. They are different, so we can use this one. 1 minus 1 plus G, which is 0.1, N is 5, 1 plus 0.08, negative 5, and here I is 8%, 0.08 minus 0.1. You will get negative here, you will get negative top. If you do the calculation, you will get $480.42. So the next 5 years, maintenance cost is gonna it's gonna have the present value of $480 at this interest rate. Good? All right. So let's do one last activity. If you have uniform series of the payments, and you are looking for equivalent future value. If interest rate is compounded yearly, suppose it's a year, the period of time here is year. So then you can simply write, I'm looking for f when a is given. So a is given, I'm looking for f. Here I should write, I should have a at the bottom and at the top at the interest rate of I over the n periods of time. This is what we know. This is how we learn to find the future value of a uniform series of the payment. Now, if I say the compounding term is not yearly, it's if it's compounded quarterly. And interest rate is I. Sorry, interest rate is I. If interest rate is R% and it's compounded quarterly, what would be the future value of this uniform series of the payment? This is the equation that we have for f over a I n. How should I change this equation if the compounding term changed to quarter? Is the question clear? All right, work on this, then I call. All right. Number 7.
Since it's quarterly, wouldn't I just be divided by, or your value for the interest rate be divided by 4?
Okay.
And it's yearly, and then there's 4 quarters in a year, so your interest rate has to be divided by 4, right?
So you mean R dividing by 4.
Yeah,
And then,
that gives you your I.
so it's, so you think that we should use I equals to R dividing by 4
Yes.
in this equation. Okay.
Yeah.
So it should change to A times F over A R dividing by R dividing by 4, and N is gonna be N.
If it's yearly, yeah.
I'm just asking, should be N? Sure.
Go for it. Then,
Number 39.
I'm gonna go with what you said too.
Say it again.
I'm gonna go with what you said.
You agree with this? So can you tell me what does it mean? R dividing by 4. I mean, R is the interest rate per year. So when you divide this by 4, what does it mean, the new term? Is it gonna still show the interest rate per year
it's gonna show it.
or per quarter?
You need to multiply n by 4.
Okay.
So you get the number of compounding periods.
So we have A times F over A, interest rate of R over 4 and 4N. If somebody asks me to draw the cash flow diagram for this, it's gonna be something like this. 0 to 4N, not N. And I have A value goes from 1 to 4N. But this is not what the original cash flow diagram looks like. I don't have any quarter payments of A. I'm just having the payments or receipt of the money at the end of year. If I change it to 4N, it tells me the period of time is 4N. And at each period of time, I have a receipt of money of $8, and interest rate is R over 4. Any volunteer?
Would it be a over 4 as well?
Then it's gonna change to N, A over 4. So is it gonna look like that?
Well, you'd still have 4 times the number of compounding periods.
I do, but the payments, they are there at the end of the first year, not every quarter.
We need to find the effective annual interest rate.
We need to find the effective interest rate. I know that the interest rate per year nominally is R%, but this is not what effective interest rate. If it was compounded yearly, you can easily use R here, because R dividing by 1 is gonna be the same. So now I need to find the effective interest rate, which was 1 plus R dividing by 4 power 4 minus 1. And then use this equation, F equals to A times F over A. I is not R, it's gonna be IA. And N is gonna be N, because the number of payments, it's not gonna change. The only thing which should be updated is the time value or effective interest rate. These are some things that I can ask you on the homeworks or exams. So make sure that, because we are gonna use them in future chapters, if the compounding term is different, that, yeah. Any question about this? Good? All right. Now, I can, now if you remember, if it's compounded continuously, means this one was R divided by M. When M goes to infinite value, then we could prove that the effective interest rate is going to be E power R minus 1. If it's compounded continuously. Just so if I plug in, substitute I with IA, I'm gonna get F equals to A times 1 plus IA, 1 plus E power R minus 1 power M minus 1 divided by E power R minus 1. 1 minus 1, you can cancel them out. So A times E power R power N is going to be E power Rn minus 1 dividing by E power R minus 1. So it's a continuous compounding series compound amount formula. If you want to use for the present words, just for this equation, change I to E power R minus 1, you will get it. Any question on this? All factors that we covered can be written as a function of IA, which is E power R minus 1. So let's work on this example. $500 deposit in an account which pays 5% per year, but it's compounded continuously. So we are gonna deposit every year. We want to know how much money we can withdraw at the end of 5th year. So at the end of first year, we deposit $500. Second year, 500. Fourth year and 5th year. We would like to know what would be the equivalent future value of this series of investment. So we are looking for F. When A is given, A times F over A, IA, and is 5. So you can do two things. Either calculate IA is E power 5% minus 1, something like here, E power 5% minus 1 is going to be 5.127, and do the calculation by plugging IA here. Or you can just use this equation. F equals to 500 times e power 5% times 5 minus 1. You should get the same. 2769, almost 7. So basically this one is the effective interest rate if I ask you what would be the effective interest rate. Good? Any question? So far. All right, the last topic on chapter 4 is we are going to learn how to use the spreadsheet and Excel to do the calculation of what they have learned so far. So the homeworks that I'm going to post today, which is the next Wednesday, is asking you to use this function to calculate some value for some given cash flow diagram. So I'm gonna go over them. All right, suppose we have this cash flow diagram. I have one single payment at year 4 with the amount of $1,000. I would like to know what would be its present value. If the interest rate is 5% at compounded yearly, and n is 4. I mean, simply we can find, I'm looking for P, F times P over F, I is 5%, n is 4, or 1,000 times 1 plus 5% power negative 4. So the command that you can use in Excel is PV. PV, parentheses, I, NPER, number of periods. I leave this cell because I need to introduce this shortly. But the last term that we have here is future value. I can write F. So just leave it there. I'm going to talk about this shortly. So PVI is 5%, NPR is 4. Just leave it there or put 0 here, and F is 1,000. It's going to give you the same results. Now, what if I have, I'm going to look at the Excel sheet shortly, but what if I have uniform series of the payment, and I'm looking for its present value? Present value would be A times P over A. Interest rate is 5% still. N is 4. 200 times, never mind, I don't remember the equation. We are using just a factor. On Excel sheet, you can use PV, I, NPER. This term that have right there is called PMT, or value for uniform settings, or A, whatever is the A. In this case is 200, and then we are gonna have future value. So if I want to have this, I'm gonna have future present value. Present value is gonna be PV 5%, 4 years, 200, and since we don't have any F, I don't have any value here, I just leave it 0. Same things here, I don't have any uniform size of the payments on the first cash flow diagram, I leave 0 for that one. So for the first one, I is 5, N is 4, I'm looking for P over F. P over F is 0.8227. So 1,000 times 0.8227, it's gonna be $822.7. For this one, N is 4, I'm looking for A over P, 0.2820, P over A. P over A, sorry. 3.546, 200 times 3.546 is gonna be 712, something like this. I guess. So let's see how the Excel can be. Just a quality sign, I'm gonna use this one. PV, the first thing is rate, as you see, is showing rate. I'm just entering 0.05. Number of periods is 4. We don't have any PMT, so I leave it 0. And future value is the last one is 1,000. 822.7. Right here. Second one again, PV. Same thing, 5%. Number of periods 4. I have A value which is 200. But there is no future value right there in this cash flow diagram, so I'll give it 0. I will talk about type shortly, but for now I don't enter anything. So 709.19, which is almost 709.2. So we talked about the first row of this table. PV provides the present value of the cash flow diagram. So now what if I combine them? What if I say I have uniform sales of the payment plus $1,000 here as well? So both I got 4 here. The only thing that you need to do is just change 0 to 200. And it's going to give you summation of these two. So summation of these two would be, one more thing. As you see, on Excel, when we have red sign, red color means we have negative value, but the black color means we have receipt of the money. So I entered everything in black. So, but the way that the Excel is gonna calculate that, is gonna look at this, it's gonna provide P such that the summation of these two cash flow diagram is 0. So if this is positive, this P should be negative to make these two cash flow diagram equal to 0. For that reason, I will get the negative value here. Same things here. I have everything positive. The Excel is gonna provide the P such that the summation of these two cash flow diagram gives me 0. So if you don't like 0, a negative value, just put the negative behind that. It's gonna change to black, which is positive now. And the last term, which is type, we are using, if you remember, we have two options. 0 for the end of the period, the payments, it occurs at the end of the period. If we change it to 1, it assumes that the payments, they start at the beginning of the period. So we don't change this, or we are using 0. If you don't change it, it assumes the default is 0, because in this course we assume end of payment. End of period. So the next thing that we are looking at that is PMT. Suppose you have $1,000, it occurs at year 4. You would like to find what would be the equivalence of uniform sales of the payment. How much should be A to give me this cash flow diagram equals to this. So you know how to find that. You are looking for A when F is given A over F, I is 5%, N is 4. If you want to use the Excel, it's kind of PMT, interest rate, which is 0.05, number of period, which is 4. Next term is P. Do you have any present value here? We don't have any present value here, so I leave it 0. Future value is 1,000. It's gonna calculate PMT for you to find A for a given I, N, and P. And if F is given, also F. Right here. The interest rate is 5%, period of time is 4. I assume that the future payment is 1,200, not 1,000. Let me change it for now for 0. Then here in this command, I'm using PMT rate, number of periods, present value is this guy, that I leave it 0, and future value, which is C7, this guy, that I have 1,200. So you can calculate that. If you have present value also, suppose here I have negative 300. It's gonna update that to something different. Future value, it's just doing the same thing that we did for present value, except it's gonna calculate future value. NPR, suppose in 4 years, you want to withdraw $1,000 in an account which pays 5%, and you are gonna deposit $800. The question is, how many years it's gonna take to get this money from this account? So NPR is gonna calculate this for you. Number of period. So in NPR, you should enter I, you should enter, if you have A, you should enter, in this case it's gonna be 0. The present value is 800, future value is 1000. It's gonna calculate number of periods for you. Last one. If you deposit 800 and you can withdraw 1000, what would be the interest rate for this investment project? Just use the rate. N is 3, A is 0, P is 800, and F is 1000. It's gonna calculate the rate for you. And I will post this file which has everything. It has NPR, rate, and other commands. You can use them for the future homework. Alright, I will collect the new homework and I will post homework 5, 6.